The screen fades into a stormy night over the Scottish Highlands. The wind howls through the trees, carrying whispers of forgotten names. A single voice cuts through the darkness. Some stories never end. They only wait for the right moment to return. Thunder cracks, and in a flash of light, we see Claire's tear-streaked face. A heartbeat echoes. Then a child's laughter, soft, haunting, impossible. The voice continues. This time it is Faith who returns, and nothing will ever be the same. Outlander has always been more than a love story. From the very first moment Claire touched the stones at Cray na Dun, her life was torn between centuries, between choices, and between the man she loved and the family she once knew. Season after season, we have watched her and Jamie fight against history itself. Wars, betrayals, loss, and heartbreak. Yet, even in their darkest hours, they have clung to one truth. Their bond was stronger than time. But the past is never silent. It waits in the shadows, whispering reminders of what has been lost. And there is no greater loss for Claire and Jamie than the child they never had the chance to raise. Their first daughter, Faith Fraser. Her absence has lingered like a ghost, shaping their choices, their grief, and their love. Every time Claire held Brianna, every time Jamie looked into his son's eyes, there was always the memory of Faith, the life cut short before it ever began. Fans of the series know her story well. A baby born too soon, in blood and sorrow, and laid to rest with the kind of heartbreak that never heals. It was the wound that defined much of Claire's journey, the scar that even time travel could not erase. Now in the trailer for Season 8, that silence is shattered. The sound of a child's laughter drifts across the moors. A silhouette appears, familiar yet strange. The impossible has become reality. Faith has returned. But how? Through the power of the stones, through forces beyond Claire's understanding, or through something darker. This mystery becomes the heartbeat of the final season. Her return is not just a miracle. It is a challenge to everything Jamie and Claire believe in, everything they have fought for. Faith is not a memory anymore. She is here, and her presence changes everything. The trailer shifts, and with it, the world of Outlander bends once again. A candle flickers in the darkness of Lallybroch, casting long shadows across the walls. Claire sits alone, the weight of years pressing on her shoulders. Suddenly, a soft voice calls out from the hallway, fragile, uncertain, yet achingly familiar. "Maman?" Claire freezes. Her breath catches, her hands tremble, and for a moment, time itself seems to stop. She rises, and in the doorway stands a girl, young, innocent, yet carrying eyes that mirror Jamie so completely it steals the air from the room. It is Faith, not as an infant, but as though she had been growing somewhere else, in some other place, waiting for this moment to step back into her parents' lives. This return is not peaceful. It shakes the very foundation of everything Claire and Jamie believe. For Claire the scientist, this should be impossible. Life does not return once taken, and yet here is her daughter, flesh and bone, looking at her with a quiet smile. For Jamie, a man of faith and fate, this is both blessing and curse. He once buried his grief in silence, but to see Faith alive again is to reopen every wound he thought had healed. Is this God's gift? Or is it a test designed to break them? The trailer hints that Faith herself is a mystery. She remembers moments she could never have lived. She knows secrets she could never have learned. In her words, there are warnings, half-truths, and visions of what is to come. At times her eyes seem older than her years, carrying knowledge far beyond her age. She is not just a daughter. They begin to realize she may be a bridge, or perhaps a weapon, between timelines that were never meant to touch. The voices around Claire and Jamie begin to whisper warnings. Roger questions if time itself has bent too far. Brianna looks at her sister with both love and fear, wondering if this return will cost them all more than they can bear. Even Ian senses something unsettled, something that doesn't belong. And yet, for all the questions, for all the fear, Claire cannot let go. The daughter she once cradled only in dreams is here, alive, breathing, calling her Mama. In that single word, Claire finds both salvation and torment. Faith's return is not simply a miracle. It is a disruption. And the trailer makes it clear. Her presence will demand a choice. A choice between destiny and desire, between the natural order and the heart's greatest longing. And choices in Outlander have always come at a devastating price. The trailer grows darker, the pace quickening like a heartbeat on the edge of fear. We see flashes of storms over the highlands, soldiers marching, and Claire clutching Faith's hand as if letting go would mean losing her all over again. Yet behind every moment of joy, a shadow lingers. Faith's return is not simply a gift. It is a ripple in the river of time, and ripples soon turn into waves. For Claire, the conflict begins within her own heart. She is a healer, a woman who has always believed in science and reason. Yet Faith's existence defies every law she has sworn by. How can she accept what her mind tells her is impossible, when her heart whispers that miracles do exist? Jamie, on the other hand, wrestles with his faith. To him, God's hand is in all things. But what if this is not God's hand at all? What if Faith's return is a trick of fate? Or worse, a punishment for all the times they dared to change history? His devotion to his family clashes with his fear that destiny cannot be undone without a price. The family itself begins to fracture. Brianna, long torn between her parents' world and her own, now faces the arrival of a sister she was never meant to know. She feels the weight of being the child who lived, while Faith becomes the child who was lost and then returned. The bond between sisters is tender at first, but underneath lies tension, a fear that one's existence might eclipse the other's. Roger, ever cautious, sees Faith as more than a daughter. He sees her as a threat to the fragile balance of time. His warnings ring through the trailer, his voice sharp with dread. Every action echoes forward. Bringing Faith back may cost us all. Beyond the family, greater dangers stir. Enemies old and new sense the disruption. A shadowed figure speaks in riddles, hinting that Faith's presence could unravel not just the Frasers, but the very fabric of history. The stones, the portals, the strange currents of time. They were never meant to be tampered with so deeply. Yet here stands the living proof of their defiance. A child returned from death, or perhaps from somewhere far beyond death itself. The trailer shows quick cuts of conflict. Jamie raising his sword in battle, Claire arguing with Brianna, Roger standing in the ruins of a church, Faith staring into a pool of water where faces from the past flicker like ghosts. The voiceover warns, every miracle has a cost. Every gift demands a sacrifice. The question that begins to consume them is no longer how Faith has returned, but what she has returned to do. Is she their salvation, or the spark that ignites their downfall? The trailer reaches its breaking point. The music rises, strings trembling, drums pounding like war. Flashes of light and shadow collide across the screen. Battles raging, lovers embracing, storms tearing across the moors. But above all, Faith's face lingers, innocent, haunting, and unshakably powerful. Her return is no longer a secret. It is the storm at the center of everything. Claire is seen kneeling in the rain, cradling Faith as though the world could rip her away at any second. Jamie stands behind them, sword drawn, his eyes filled with both fury and fear. Their voices overlap in desperation. She's ours. She doesn't belong here. The trailer refuses to answer who speaks which line, leaving viewers trapped in uncertainty. The stakes stretch beyond the Fraser family. We see rulers whispering of prophecy, men of faith calling Faith a sign of the end, and enemies sharpening blades in the shadows. Faith is no longer just a daughter. She has become a symbol, a weapon, a mystery people are willing to kill for. The question hangs heavy. Will she bring healing, or will she ignite chaos across time itself? The imagery turns frantic. Brianna grips her sister's hand, whispering, "Don't let go." Roger's voice cuts in, echoing like thunder. If we keep her here, the past may collapse, and with it, the future. A stone circle glows in the distance, its light pulling Faith toward it as if destiny itself demands her return. Claire screams, reaching for her daughter, Jamie dragging her back as the ground trembles beneath them. Then, silence. A single candle flickers. Faith's voice, soft and trembling, whispers into the darkness, "Maman, I'm scared." Claire's reply breaks through the stillness, heavy with love and dread. "So am I." The final montage explodes. Jamie in battle, Claire running through fire, Faith standing between worlds, torn by forces she cannot control. The last image burns into the screen. Faith turning her head, eyes glowing faintly with something unearthly, as if she carries the weight of every time and every choice within her small frame. Black screen, white letters, Outlander. The final season, 2025. And just before it fades, a faint whisper. Faith's voice once more. Nothing will ever be the same. Just when the trailer feels finished, a new layer unfolds. A chilling aftertaste that lingers long after the final card. The screen stays black for a breath too long, the silence heavy, almost suffocating. Then faintly we hear it. The sound of stones humming, vibrating as though alive. The glow returns, softer now, pulsing like a heartbeat. Out of the dark comes a single image. Faith standing alone in the circle of stones, her dress whipping in the wind, her face calm yet unreadable. The narration, low and solemn, cuts through. Time is not a river, it is a maze, and every choice leads us deeper into the unknown. As the voice fades, we see Faith touch one of the stones. For a moment, the world bends around her. Visions flicker in rapid succession. The Jacobite rising, Claire's hospital in Boston, Brianna's wedding, Jamie's scars, a glimpse of battles not yet fought. Each image lasts less than a heartbeat, yet together they feel like a warning. Her eyes close, and she whispers a line that chills the soul. "I have seen what comes next, and it's not what you think." The weight of her words hangs, leaving both hope and dread suspended in the air. Is she here to save them? Or is she here to lead them to a destiny they cannot escape? The final image is not of war or fire, it is of family. The Frasers gathered around a table, laughter echoing, love shining, yet Faith's chair remains empty, a ghostly symbol of what has always been missing, and what may still slip through their fingers. The laughter fades into static, and the screen goes black. One last heartbeat sound. Then in stark white letters, Outlander, Season 8, Faith's Return, changes everything. Release year burns into the screen. 2025. The trailer ends not with an answer, but with a question, an invitation that makes the audience lean forward, desperate, unsettled, and hungry for what comes next. Just when the audience believes the trailer has revealed its last secret, another vision shatters the silence. The screen flickers as if the film itself cannot contain what comes next. We see Faith once more, but this time she is older, her features sharper, her voice steadier. She stands before the stones, not as a child lost or found, but as a woman who seems to belong to every time at once. The camera circles her slowly. Behind her, the landscapes blur. Highlands dissolve into smoky battlefields. Boston hospitals fade into revolutionary camps, and the quiet halls of Lallybroch melt into ruins of a future not yet lived. Time folds in on itself, bending and twisting like light on water. Faith does not flinch. She whispers, "The stones chose me, not you." Jamie's voice echoes in anguish. "You're our daughter." But Faith only looks at him with a sorrow that feels older than her years. She replies, softly but firmly, "I am more than that." The trailer hurls us into a barrage of visions. The Frasers split apart across centuries, portals collapsing into nothingness, and Faith standing in the center of it all, her hands outstretched as if she alone can hold the threads together. Her eyes flare with a light not of this world, and the score reaches its peak. Violins screaming, drums pounding like the heartbeat of the universe. Then, stillness. Faith steps toward the camera, her face inches from the screen. She looks directly at the viewer, breaking the barrier, her voice trembling but resolute. "If I stay, history will break. If I leave, you will." The world shatters in white light. A single feather drifts across the black screen, slow, deliberate, haunting. The voice of Claire, broken and fragile, whispers through the darkness. How do I choose between my child and the world itself? The screen cuts to black. No music, no sound. Just one final line burned into the silence. The screen fades in slowly, almost dreamlike. The chaos of battle, the storms, the voices, all are gone. Instead, we see a quiet meadow at dawn, dew glistening on the grass, birds calling softly in the distance. The camera drifts forward, revealing Faith sitting alone beneath an ancient tree. She is not afraid nor lost. She is writing in a small leather-bound journal, her words whispered into the still air. I was never meant to exist here, yet here I am. And every moment I stay, the world changes. Every breath I take, history bends. But if love brought me back, how can love be wrong? Her words carry over a slow montage. Claire's trembling hands reaching for Jamie's, Brianna holding her children close, Roger staring at the stones as though daring them to open once more. Each face flickers with both hope and dread. The family stands at the edge of a choice too great for any one of them to bear. The meadow begins to blur, as though time itself is unraveling around Faith. She closes the journal and looks directly into the camera with a calm, unshakable gaze. Her voice is soft, but it cuts like a blade. Every ending is only the beginning of something else. A single tear rolls down her cheek as she disappears into the morning mist. The tree stands alone now, silent, as though she had never been there at all. The music swells one last time, gentle, sorrowful, yet filled with awe. Across the black screen, words appear slowly, one by one, like carved stone. Outlander. Season 8. The final chapter. Faith's return changes everything. 2025. And then, absolute silence. The trailer closes not with fire or thunder, but with stillness, leaving the audience holding their breath, unsure if they've just witnessed a miracle or a warning.